Hi everyone. Thanks so much for coming. So this week, Natalie and I are going to talk about attunement, which is kind of the first part of a series that we've been creating together. And so the next week we'll be talking about self-care, which is a branch of kind of how we want attunement to be kind of conceptualized. Which will be led by Tracy and Gemma. But yeah, this week is attunement. So I'll let Natalie walk us through kind of what our presentation is going to look like.
Yeah, so hi. I will just be briefly going over some of the things we'll be talking about. So first, we'll talk about what is attunement, because that's an important thing to establish before we get into things. And then I'll talk about the connection between attunement and self-care. So as Emily said, this is kind of a part of an ongoing series that will be continuing next week. So that's will also be an important thing to talk about. And then we'll be talking about body cues and what that means and how to differentiate body cues from other things, like maybe your thoughts and opinions about things. So, and then after that, we'll be talking about attunement disruptors. So what are the things that can get in the way of noticing your body cues and being in touch with your body? And then we'll finish by talking about the importance of attunement and connecting it back to self-care, and overall why this topic is even important to learn and talk about. So,
Awesome.
jump.
Okay, so next we want to really talk about and introduce this idea of attunement. Like, what is attunement? So I'm going to read the definition and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. But attunement is the ability to listen, hear, and respond to this physiological and psychological state of your body in the current moment. Tuning into the direct experience of your physical body, understanding these cues is called interoceptive awareness. This practice can help you understand how to best meet your needs and learn how to attune to your own body. So attunement, again, kind of with the underline words, which we want to emphasize, is like understanding and really listening to the direct experience of your own body, and listening to these cues. So it's not what we'll talk about later. It's not thinking about them. It's not judging them. It's not making them into right or wrong feelings or sensations, but rather it's like the process of really listening to what's going on physically and what's going on mentally.
So just a few examples to get you more familiar with this topic. So when you have a full bladder, and you feel that you have a full bladder, that is a way of your body telling you that you probably need to go use the restroom. And another example is when you feel your heart rate speeding up or quickening, that's probably your body's way of telling you that you might be taking on an exciting task, or maybe a task that is making you a little bit nervous, but that is just your body's way of telling you that you're getting ready and you're excited or nervous about whatever you'll be doing. And another example is physical cues of hunger or satiety. And that is another example of your body telling you that you probably need to eat something, or your body is probably craving something to eat. Maybe it's a snack, maybe it's a meal. That depends on what, maybe what, to what degree you're feeling that hunger. So those are just a few examples.
Yeah. So now we're kind of going to talk about the connection between attunement and what I mentioned previously about self-care. So attunement is really recognizing, again, through that practice of like listening, of really listening and understanding and recognizing, probably just recognizing. I think understanding is a larger process, but really recognizing what your body needs in the specific moment that you're in. And so the way that self-care really branches off of this is that that's kind of the action or the response to really listening to this. So kind of the first thing is being like what Natalie was talking about of like, is my heart rate, like how's my heart rate? Do I have a full bladder? Like, or what does that sound in my stomach? Like I think there's certain things that you listen to, and then I guess self-care is what comes next. And that's really the response of like, what am I going to do about this? Or how am I going to meet this body's need? Or what is my body asking for? And like, how can I meet that need in this specific moment?
Yeah, so that brings us to understanding your body's cues. So this is not something that's a quick and done thing. It takes a lot of practice. So understanding what your body needs could take some time, and that is very reasonable and understandable. But you can develop the skills for cue or interoceptive awareness. So one thing that we want to distinguish between thoughts and cues. So a body cue is a direct experience or signal from your body, whereas a thought is a judgment or opinion. So a body cue is telling you something specifically, and it's more of a, like Emily was saying, that it's telling you something that maybe you need to take on another task, like do something in order to meet that, to meet your needs in that moment. Whereas a thought is something that your mind thinks and has an opinion on. So attunement is the practice of approaching your body's cues simply as information. It is the practice of listening to these cues rather than judging and or coding them as right or wrong. So attunement, or distinguishing or noticing your body's cues, is just a way of simply listening to your body and not judging those cues. It's just noticing them and observing them and being aware that you might need to take an action in order to satisfy whatever your body is telling you that you need to do in that moment.
Yeah. So an important part of this, especially in the time that we're in right now, as we're all in different environments and kind of have probably adjusted over the past, I guess, couple months that we've been in these new places, is something really important to talk about in terms of attunement is attunement disruptors. So kind of like what gets in the way or interferes with your own ability to really hear and respond to the needs that your body is telling you, and in a timely manner. So I think on campus, right, we can think about distractions being like, I've been working in the lab for the past 6 hours and I haven't eaten, right? Or maybe at home, you've been on Zoom calls for the past 6 hours, right? And you're actually really hungry, but you haven't really been listening to that. Or all of a sudden, you haven't really heard your stomach rumbling, or you've been on mute, so you have no idea what you sound like. And so I think there's a lot of different variations of this, but kind of anything that gets in the way of you really listening to your body and figuring out what it needs. And so kind of understanding how these appear in your life, especially right now. I know for me, I'm at home, or I'm at not my own home, but at a new home. And it's been interesting to see how I'm constantly moving out throughout the space, and how I'm not really listening sometimes to when I'm hungry, or sometimes I really need to go outside and take a walk, but I have Zoom calls scheduled, right, on my calendar. And so I think I am not as good, but working on figuring out ways to be like, oh, wait, I'm hungry. And maybe it's not always at the same time that I would be hungry at Carleton. Like everyone has different schedules here, so I'm not always eating with people, but I kind of need to, and I've been working on this, of like finding ways to be like, okay, what's getting in the way of me listening to my body, and what do I need to do, and how can I keep myself kind of accountable to really doing that and prioritizing that. So
Yeah, and I think, and so
I'll go
sorry,
back.
another quick example of a way that rules and beliefs can get in the way, is a quick example is I often have Zoom classes and I'll forget that I need to use the restroom. So that, I mean, that is a distraction, but I'll also, like, I might need to really pee, but I say to myself, well, I'm in a Zoom call. I don't want to just leave this Zoom call because it feels weird. But I mean, I would do that if I were in class. Like if I were in class and I really needed to pee, I would get up and go, and there would be no concern. But I think just like the way that my mind is working on Zoom calls, I have these like new rules for myself, and that doesn't need to be a thing that needs to exist. Like if I need to do something in that moment to take care of myself, I should go do it and then quickly come back. So yeah, that's just another example of a way to think about rules and beliefs, is those are often self-imposed.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
So we're gonna just do a little exercise to kind of understand your body's cues. So if everyone wants to get in a comfortable, relaxed position, if you want, you can turn off your video if you feel more comfortable with that, but you don't have to. Um, it's preferable if you are seated on a chair, on the floor, something comfortable if you want. And just begin by bringing your attention into your body. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. You don't have to. Keep your back upright, but not too tight. And just let your hands rest wherever they're comfortable. And put your tongue on the roof of your mouth or wherever it's comfortable. And you can notice your body from the inside. noticing the shape of your body, the weight, the touch. Let yourself relax and become curious about your body seated here. The sensations of your body, the touch, the connection with the floor or the chair or the ground. Then take a few deep breaths, and as you take in a deep breath, bring in more oxygen, enlivening the body. And as you exhale, have a sense of relaxing more deeply. Even notice your feet on the floor. Notice the sensations of your feet touching the floor. The weight, the pressure, the vibrations, and maybe the heat. You can notice your legs against the chair or whatever you're sitting on, the pressure, the pulsing, the heaviness, and the lightness. Notice your back against the chair. Now bring your attention into your stomach area. Notice if your stomach is tense or tight. Let it soften. Take a breath. Notice your hands. Notice if they are tense or tight. See if you can allow them to soften. Now notice your arms. Feel any sensations in your arms. And let your shoulders be soft. Notice your neck and your throat, and let them be soft as well. Soften your jaw. Let your face and facial muscles be softened. Then notice your whole body presence. Take another breath. Be aware of your whole body as best as you can. Relax any areas of tightness or tension. Just breathe, soften. Now begin to tune into the breath in your body, feeling the natural flow of breath. Don't need to do anything to your breath. Just notice it. Not long, not short, just natural. Notice where you feel your breath in your body. It might be in your abdomen, or it might be in your chest, or your throat, or in your nostrils. See if you can feel the sensations of breath, one breath at a time. When one breath ends, the next breath begins. Now, as you do this, you may notice that your mind starts to wander. You might start thinking about other things. If this happens, this is not a problem. It's very natural. Notice that your mind is wandered. You can start thinking or wondering in your head softly. And then gently redirect your attention right back to the breathing. So we will stay with this for some time in silence, just a short time, noticing our breath from time to time, getting lost in thought and returning to our breath. See if you can be really kind to yourself in this process. And once again, you can notice your body, your whole body seated here. Let yourself relax even more deeply. and offer yourself some appreciation for doing this practice today. Finding a sense of ease and well-being for yourself and today. All right. So we'll come back, and that was just a quick body scan. I think it only took a few minutes and a way to just get in tune with your body. Maybe you notice something that your body might need, your body might want. And so that is just a practice that you can do too. It doesn't have to be as extensive or elaborate, but just a way to notice your body, every part of your body. And maybe you find yourself needing to stand up or find yourself needing to be more comfortable. Maybe you felt like you needed to pee. So just anything that you noticed. And that is just a way to get in tune with your body's cues.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, so we're kind of going to end here on the importance of attunement, which has kind of come up throughout, hopefully. But I think the idea here is that when you are in tune with your body and you're able to honor your body's needs, this can help you develop a more peaceful and trusting relationship with your body. And so kind of the practice of active listening, whether it's more second to second, it doesn't have to be through the body scan that we were just led through, but I think that's a really good tool to really give yourself permission to be like, I'm going to spend these couple minutes or even like a quicker body scan of just like sitting and being like, what do I need right now? And I think the practice of that in any way that that takes form can be really helpful in kind of maybe making that a priority for you during your day, and can make it happen more naturally for you too. So you can be in tune with those needs without having to pause and figure it out. And also taking a pause to figure it out is probably a really good idea too. So I think that's what we really want to emphasize with this, is that it is a process and it is a practice. And it is not easy, especially when we're going from like, whether it's in-person meetings, right, or activities or things to do, or as of today, it's like Zoom calls and family time or friend time or people time or alone time, like finding all of these different, navigating this interesting space that we're all in. The process of attunement and practice of attunement can be really, really helpful in grounding and really figuring out what your body needs and how to feel, maybe not your best, but how to feel kind of the best for you in that moment, and really kind of address what you need to. And so kind of what I mentioned before is that in the next webinar next week, we'll be talking about self-care. Gemma and Tracy will be leading you through that, and that will really be addressing ways to kind of decide what you want to do once you've listened to your body, and kind of ways to meet your body's needs in your own individual way.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, Emily. I could not have said it better, honestly. So, but yeah, that's a good way to end this and to hopefully lead you or make you thinking more about maybe what your body needs and how you can stay in tune with your body so that you take those necessary self-care actions. So, yeah, join us for next week.